Hello. Welcome. 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 Sorry for the delay, John.
How did I know I was going to be the butt of a joke right off the bat?
Because you've seen this show before. Welcome to New Comic Book Day Book Club. My name's Alec. I run a channel called White Whale Comics that you may have heard of because you're here on it right now. With me, as always, is this guy over here. His name's John. He has a channel called John's Comics with Kids. He was smart enough to put his own name in his channel so people know who he is. And we have also...
Hi, I'm that jackass.
Yeah. We also have our guest for the week, Nat, also known as DComicQueen.
Hi, guys.
I got to say, DComicQueen, Nat, I've really been enjoying your channel. And I remember early on people like Tom and Bueller giving you some shout outs. And then you joined Bueller not long ago for a chat that was a lot of fun, getting to know you a little bit, and you're collecting, and yeah, awesome. And I love the book you've got right behind you, Mr. Miracle, next to you there.
Oh, yeah, actually, I just got this in. It's first female fairies.
I almost bought a Mr. Miracle one at the show I was at the other day, but the guy wanted a little too much for the condition.
I just got a big Barda to go with my Mr. Miracle.
Well, I guess I'm behind the times.
I have two big Bardas.
Well, I'm really behind the times then. If you haven't heard, I really like that book. It's right over there. That's why I did this. You can't see it. We're not here to talk about Mr. Miracle. That's going to be on Friday. We're here to talk about Die, issue 2 and 3.
That's your other show.
That's my other show on Friday with I Got Issues. So before we get into that, I want to shout out to people in the chat. Wingnut was here from the beginning. Fire Guy Ryan, Kachoon, Comic Books NYC, Comic Crypto Stock. Cassie is always here. Appreciated Popcom. Gray Matter Hulk. TJ the Slab Dragon. Who else we got? Comic Crypto Stock. I feel like I tend to skip over wrenches when I'm saying people's names, so which is weird. It should be the opposite. Comic Books NYC. What's up, buddy? Ed D. Who am I missing? Anybody? JP's Budget Collecting, Chino Comics and More.
Seawooder, did you get Seawood?
Seawood, what's up? 90 MF Comics, what's up, buddy? Comic Head 84, hello. Bake the Snake, Perry Comics. All sorts of great people in the chat tonight.
And some of my Comic Core Unlimited crew. I saw Comics Misexplained is in here.
Jack Yo, Nerdy Couch, Need Mo Comics, Comics Misexplained. Jeez, keeps going.
And I appreciate already, Nat, that you are shushing Fire Guy Ryan, because dang, he needs
Yes,
not part of your scene.
This is the first show he's catching me live on, and I've given him so much crap for not staying up to watch all my other shows.
Not staying up. It's he lives on the early coast.
No, Ryan.
Fire Guy Ryan.
Fire Guy Ryan is he's in
the West Coaster.
Yeah, and I'm shushing him for that DComicQueen comment.
Yeah.
You're halfway through issue 2, Ryan. You better catch up because we're about to spoil it all. By the way, I see some new names in the chat. Thank you so much. Girl Agrod, hello, welcome. You're not new. You're always here. I appreciate you. We spoil everything. So if you haven't read it or you don't want to know what's going to happen if you haven't read it, read it and catch us on the replay.
And that's my family's attitude about most things I do. So.
Jeffrey Comic-Con Henson, what is up? I don't know if I said hi to you.
Spoil everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, not just movies, just like life, parties,
YouTube live
funerals.
How do you spoil a funeral?
Oh, I'll tell you later.
So for those that didn't see it before, we actually reviewed and broke down issue 1 a while back. This bad boy right here. And it was a whole lot of fun, and we really enjoyed that comic a whole lot. The artist, Stephanie Hans, and I can't remember the writer's name. Is it Gillen or Gillen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had discussed several times talking about issue 2 and 3 because it seemed like everybody from the chat, and certainly with Alec and I, that we had been enjoying reading it continuously. And next week, issue 4 drops. So you can get the 4th issue, and there are many second printings around. You can definitely catch up without a whole lot of trouble. This is a second printing of issue 2, and I snagged that at my LCS today. So there's definitely ways to get caught up, even though there's no trade or anything like that.
Yeah, I was just saying there's a 4th print of issue 1 coming out. And
was that next week or the week after?
I don't know the release date of it, unfortunately, but the cover is real nice. And I couldn't find a second print of that issue 2. So
yes, I'm sorry, not part of my scene, or not part of your scene. I was serious in not remembering Kieran Gillen. I'm sorry. I'm not even know that I'm sure if I've read anything else by this person.
Kachung says, my favorite story since I started collecting again 8 months ago. Comic Head said, man, that issue 2 variant John has his fire. Yeah, that's supposed to be the thumbnail. I messed up. Sorry.
That's a really nice cover. I like it.
And JP Budget Collecting says John ruins all. So he's right there.
Well, I'm glad you've seen the show before. So let's jump right in. Quick recap of issue 1 for those of you who forgot or haven't read it. A bunch of kids create a Dungeons & Dragons style game. They get sucked into the game through the dice. Each of them get 1 die, hence the name. And they come back many years later and are living their lives, and then get sucked back into the game by the one person who they left behind accidentally or unfortunately or whatever. Tragically. And so we pick up issue 2 after the end of issue 1, where they see the left behind friend who now has dice for eyes and is a madman.
And it picks up like right after. So
yeah, issue 2 is like a straight continuation of issue 1. Like moment to moment.
Now, Natalie, did you read issue 1 right when it first came out, or did you catch up later on? How did you come across it?
Actually, I had pre-ordered it whenever it came out on the previews. I was like, this sounds really interesting, and I had pre-ordered it. And then when it came out, I read it, and as soon as I read it, I was just like, wow, like this is intense. To me, it was like a 10 out of 10. I remember doing my rating on my Instagram, and I was so scared to put a 10 because I rarely do. And I put a 9 on it because I was like, I don't know. Like, so I was scared to put a 10 because I was like, I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just me, you know, like my personal opinion. And yeah. I don't really rate like 10s. And I thought, I even put though, I was like, I think it could easily be a 10.
It's hard to give stuff 10s, right? Because you're like, there's always like that room where you're like, could there be something better?
Yeah, and it was the first issue too.
That's the ceiling, yeah. And you can rate something issue by issue for sure, but you know.
And I had a lot to say. Like I fell in love with it instantly, and I went and did a review on one of my posts, which I rarely do. Unless I have something to say about that specific issue, I will post a review on it, which is really rare. And I just loved it so much, and I would like instantly went and wrote something about it. I was like, I love this issue so much, and I actually added it to my top comics of like 2018, even though it was one issue like in. That's how much I loved it.
Yeah, so it went straight on my pull for sure.
How did you feel like the second issue carried on? Did you feel like the second issue was a good continuation and was worthy of the first one?
Yeah, I think so. I like how, you know, this one's like they're now in the whole fantasy realm, and then I like how, you know, we get to know each. I like the way they gave like each player like their we get to know their powers or whatever.
Yeah, like a little like introduction.
Yeah, and then we get to see what each of them does because each one.
Yeah, so if you've never read it, this little front page that Natalie's talking about here, that Nat's talking about here, gives each character, they each have a special kind of die that they were given that is connected to who they are as a character, and the personality that they play in the game is each unique to each person, as well as their abilities of what they can do. In some cases, they are dramatically different than the person they are outside of the game. And we didn't really talk much about how scarred they were. The first issue spent a lot of time on them outside,
literally and figuratively.
Yeah, exactly.
Like one of the characters comes back without an arm.
They all carry on to that though. The whole like how you see how much it's affected them. You see that a lot in this issue, and then especially in the third issue, you just see how serious it is to them.
So John, you may want to say, "Hey, Alec." I'm just doing the show for both of us right now. Hey, Alec. There seems to be a lot of exposition in issue 2. Wrong. It is not. Because I hate exposition. This is not exposition. John, tell me why I'm right.
It's not exposition because it's diving into character. It's not just characters speaking things that they would not normally say. These are characters who are in the moment talking to one another in a way that they would naturally do. They're not just speaking as if they are the writer talking for the writer's sake.
Right. But even the narration is... The narrator is Ash is speaking to someone. We don't know whom. But... and recalling this situation or even...
But do you think Ash is speaking, like narrating as Ash or as Dom?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, are they, like, where is the separation to?
That's a great question.
Fire Guy Ryan says Alec is always right. Thank you. But that is an interesting question, an interesting thing to think about. Like, where do these characters... Because they all, it's not like D&D where they're like, I'm going to play a wizard. They all created these characters themselves from what they wanted to play. So Ash is the dictator and, and a woman. And a woman who she is a man in the real world. And another character is the fool who just gets his powers from being foolhardy. So first of all, I thought all of the characters' powers and archetypes were very interesting and very unique.
And I like that they did list them here on the page because it's easy for us to forget like who's who and what powers they have.
Yes.
So I like it. I like how they listed them, each with their die number and stuff.
Yeah, and then they do the little like filleted die next to each one so that you can see, because that was the thing Alec was commenting on the very first video, was how this pattern, this fun intricate triangular pattern on the front is a 20-sided die filleted and laid open. And that's kind of what each character has in their description next to them, is their own die.
And if you read, well, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about this right now, but like in the back, what they wrote about what each of the dies meant.
Yeah.
Why he assigned that to each character. Like that was, I don't know if y'all read that.
Yeah, those things in the back are really interesting. The end of the first one, they talked about how, and in the end of the third one, they referenced the fact that they actually created a role-playing game that they're going to release.
Oh yeah.
Based on this world. So, and clearly, like, it shows because there's a depth to what they're doing. But to me, like, it has a very Dungeons and Dragons feel of like, okay, here's the story, and then now we go on a mission or like a dungeon delve, which, especially in issue 2, where it's like the whole thing with the Grandmaster, and then all of a sudden you're thrown into this like, what do you do scenario of like, okay, now you have to fight because there's a threat. So it reads as if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons to me.
Comic Head 84 makes the comment that the use of narration is really original in like the first issue, where you have Dom not being, he has a spell put on him that he's not allowed to talk about what happened in the game.
Yeah, the guy.
So instead, he has to speak one way and then narrate his true intentions and his true thoughts. It's a clever device that continues here a little bit in the sense that he's talking to the man they left behind, who is now the game master. and saying certain things and then realizing at different points that's not the right, I shouldn't have said it that way.
Yeah.
I'm talking to he even uses the term an NPC, a non-player character. He feels like he's talking to a robot who's just going to speak the lines that need to be said.
Because
what perfect timing, John.
He's been stuck in that game for so long that he feels like he doesn't realize how they feel about trying to go back.
Yeah, I need to stop for a second. Did you imply that I did something right, Alec?
I just said you got lucky because I was about to show some of these panels that I took pictures of. And this is one where he says, this isn't a conversation. This is a sort of monologue you run in your head with lovers you never speak to again. This is what happens when your thoughts curdle.
I love that line.
This is the scene where he's referencing him being more of a non-player character than anything.
And the way Hans did the eyes on Ash, you can just the fear, the trauma,
she's
everything.
Legit scared.
There's so much thought happening in those eyes.
And you also find out that Ash is the one who put the truth blocker on them, right?
Yeah, which is now lifted once they're actually back in the game. They can say whatever they want again.
And there's
apparently her power comes from her voice.
And you didn't know this in the first issue.
Right.
You thought that maybe they were just traumatized and they didn't want to talk about it. But now you realize that they couldn't talk about it.
And then in the third issue, there's even a part where she begins to say something and she just says, tell the truth. There's no reason not to anymore. Or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's because she was just like along with the little Hobbit guys.
Yeah.
She was just basically like, it doesn't, there's no point in lying anymore to someone that's just going to die.
Yeah. I think there was kind of maybe I was reading too much into that one, but
no, I think the use of voice is huge. And when you have your hero character, her power, I should say he, she, it's hard to know, but Ash's power comes from
he, she is not appropriate.
I'm just saying that the pronouns don't work for the character in a really cool way, but like that language is vital. She seems to be the one to be able to trigger other people's powers with her voice, whether it's bringing the sadness out in the one guy so that he can get into it, or they even comment to her right when the game master vanishes, you should have used your power, your voice. And she's like, I don't know that I want to turn this into a fight just yet.
Yeah, right. And said yet was very, very, held a lot of weight. And even I loved in the third issue where the guy's like, basically saying, make me sad. And she's like, look where we are. I don't need to use my powers to make you sad.
Yeah.
This page I just wanted to show because it's absolutely gorgeous. I love the
red.
I love the background with the eyes and whatever they are, but it's such a good use of the page.
Fallen. They're called Fallen.
Yeah, those are the orcs. They call them, but the Fallen, the evil beasts they battle in the very beginning of the second issue. So I'm gonna be popping back and forth between this. I appreciate you scanning a lot of these because truthfully, in the Comic Core Unlimited, we were talking about like books that, in my opinion, it's rare that have covers, interior art, and writing that are all aces. That are all in, you might have one or two of those that work real well, but like to have all three is rare. And this is a case of that, where every page you can see the thought and the time that Stephanie Hans is putting into it.
I wanted to show this just because this is something we were talking about the other day about clear panel reading. And I thought this was a really clever way with the little word bubble just overlapping the two panels to lead you into the next one so you know which order to read it in. See that?
What was that?
Comic Head says that the atheist girl who can control the gods is his favorite member of the crew.
Yeah. That's a funny juxtaposition. There's your big word for the night. I only got one in me. And I wasted it. So issue 2 for me was great. The end, which is the last page that I scanned, is just horrific and horrifying and sad and so many things. And guess what?
I was gonna say the second to last one is also.
It's It's this is the last page. And there's not a big villain reveal.
Nope.
Can you
imagine? The villain in some ways is their mistake in the past.
Yeah. And the last line, "We can survive anything but our past," is like, that's how you end an issue, not with like, "It's Red Skull's daughter." Bum, bum, bum.
I wonder what they did in the past that makes them.
Yeah, and that's the fascinating part. I think the slow burn is going to be little by little, all the little things, because they have that in a physical form, right? They have this knight that Ash used his powers on at one point that he has to sort of set free. And I love the line.
They realized how serious the game was.
25 years of putrid flesh sloughs onto me. It's like, oh God.
Not part of your scene says Alex Power, one big word a night. Yeah, I need more gold before I can use it again.
So yeah, it was a powerful end. And for me, it was like the first issue was this like nice sort of puzzle, very slow. It was a lot of it most of it in the other, or our world, the normal world. This one was this sort of like fast paced blast through experiencing their world, this other world.
So it's funny because issue 3 I did not like as much as the other two, but because I felt like it seemed a little out of.
Are we already talking about?
I'm just jumping around. I'm sorry. I can wait.
No. It's just.
Just because John was talking about he mentioned something that made me think of this, so we can jump back. But in the little after writing thing in the issue 3, the writer says basically issue 1 and 2 built this world, and then issue 3 said, "Oh, it can be this also." And I was like, "Oh, okay, so I'm the jerk for assuming that it was just going to be the same thing all the time. I got issues. What's up? I am feeling much more relaxed now. You missed all my best."
So it seems like what you're saying, Alec, is that the first book said like there's this real world and then there's the fake world. The second issue said like the fake world, there's no repercussions. You're living this, there's nothing beyond this. The third issue says there's a connection between both worlds.
Well, the third one was more, I think it was like the emotional, how it just hit you emotionally. I think that's what it meant, or what he meant by like, oh, we're also this, like it's also going to hit you like this.
Yeah, and it's also just like not high fantasy, because there's like a mechanical dragon and there's like a real like World War I feeling war going on, and
French warfare sequence. Yeah,
they did that as a nod to the J.R. Tolkien, because
who is in the book.
He which was awesome. Actually, I got really happy when I saw that. But he even has like that quote from The Hobbit, which is really I love this book because of that.
Good pickup. The quote from The Hobbit. I love it.
Yes, I saw that. And Tolkien, a lot of his writing was from like World War I experiences and stuff. So I thought that was amazing. Like how they just did that nod to him. That was beautiful.
So Alec, are you saying that you really just wanted it to have more traditional high fantasy and less of the sort of steampunk mixture that they're going for here?
It was just that like it took me off guard, because like we said, issue 1 and issue 2 kind of go directly into one another. And then issue 3, all of a sudden we're somewhere else in a different kind of environment on a different quest. And it just felt different. And it felt like kind of like a jump cut. And so I was like, well, this kind of didn't take me out of it, because I still was very excited by it. And, parts of the issue itself outside of that were still great. But reading that at the end, where I was like, oh, they did this on purpose to show you that we can do anything we want because this is an imaginary world. And I love how Tolkien also says like, oh, this is my favorite way to travel, or something, with the giant eagle.
Yeah.
The eagle.
For me, like, I kind of dug it in the same way I dug the way that in Fables, you could enter different Fable lands and they would all have a slightly different identity, but be interconnected, whether you were on the clouds for Jack's Beanstalk or whether you were in, the woodcutter's forest.
Well,
There was a lot of variety to those worlds.
This world has 20, doesn't it? 20 lands, because it's like a 20-sided die world.
Yes, they said something about that. Yeah.
And it has 20, I think like 20 different lands.
Yes.
So I kind of dug the fact that each land would have a slightly different variation. And at the same time, obviously they kept the dragons and they kept the feudal war kind of element of it, but gave it a personality that it was kind of different. And for me, it was a slowdown after issue 2, which was this ramp up. Issue 3, there was definitely some fighting, but it was really just almost completely Ash in a trench, finding a connection to the person that she was when she was here last.
Issues is in the chat where it shifts from Heaven's Gate cult to Cones of Dunshire in 5 lines.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Jeez.
Comic Books NYC agrees with me. The 3rd issue's tone threw me off at first. Thank you.
Oh,
yeah, for me, so like I liked the idea that it was a slowdown and that it was a focus in on Ash and not only what her powers are, but like the things inhibiting her from wanting to go full badass and the moment that she's sort of having down there. And then of course sort of the structure of each side of the die, this idea that there's a master for each realm and that you have to sort of interact and solve a quest as you go through each, hex of the story that you're going through. I thought it was cool.
Hey, Issues, behave yourself.
See, what I took from this issue 3 was, because it was like really emotional and really like depressive. And like you said, you just, you expected something else. But I think it shows how different they view it from the last time they were there. Like, I think the first time they were in there, it was really just fun for them. And they just saw it as a game because they didn't think whatever was going on was actually going to, happen out in the real world, or they were going to take that with them. I feel like they didn't realize that the first time they were in there.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I think
this time, as adults, they're viewing everything differently because, as an adult, the world changes, like the way you view it. So I think that's why I think it's just very dark and serious.
Yeah.
Well, I think that. Oh, sorry.
Please, no, please. I didn't have anything interesting to say.
That's not true ever. But I also would say that what I liked was too, like I felt like they gave another layer of weight to the world. It's not just fantasy where, obviously we know things have repercussions because obviously characters are losing limbs and things. But it felt like it gave another layer of weight to what's happening to those NPCs around them.
And I feel like they didn't know that
the
first time they played
right,
until they came out.
Because Ash says something in regards to the Hobbit that dies that, like, I forget exactly what she says, but something to the effect of like, this is just based on a memory or like an experience that I've had or something that's like, it's not actually real, but it's still, it still holds weight or something, I forget. It's worded more better than things I say with my mouth words. If you hadn't noticed, I got Issues. I gave him a wrench. I told him to behave.
You did not.
I told him to behave, and did not mean that as in you're not allowed to be a jerk in the chat. I just mean like if you
did you just now do that?
Yeah, he earned it with his Cones of Dunshire Heaven's Gate references. But I will take that wrench away as quickly as I gave it to you.
Apparently, I need to be on your shows more than in the chat because otherwise I'm gonna get banished a lot more often.
It's a good thing that he can't kick out or put in timeout the guests that I have on air, or I'd be in trouble.
Yeah, I will not chat in this chat anymore.
Jeffrey Comic-Con, yes, we were talking about Die this entire show. If you're waiting for it to be spoiler free, I apologize.
Yeah, technically it's not die, 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 which is that other one. It's just 2 die this time. It's dice. You could argue.
Yeah. It's what you need to play Monopoly, the worst game ever made.
Oh, Jesus. So my question would be like, I don't know the long-term plan for Die if Hans and Gillen want to do like more than just a handful of issues. Could you see this as having a limit, meaning say there's 20 hexes or whatever? Is this a 20 issue story?
It certainly could be, but I think it's the sort of thing where theoretically this could be just an infinite ongoing, right? Because time doesn't exist the same way there, so they could just be
Totally.
Constant adventurers in this world trying to get home forever. And
yeah, I could see that.
It's like Quantum Leap, where it goes on for 9 seasons. If I nailed how many seasons Quantum Leap had, I'm gonna be very impressed with myself.
I got it right here. Let me check.
Or impressed or ashamed, depending on.
I think it was 6. It's 5.
Oh, I was way off.
I got you, brother.
Thank you.
Because for me, I feel like they set it up to, like you're saying, to go both ways, where it's, the dungeon master needs to be part of the group. To get home, they need him to want to go home.
Yeah, so they have to get to him first.
He seems to imply that they can play forever. That's his goal, is to get them to play his game ad infinitum. For me, that's the conflict, the central conflict that needs to come to an end. Whether he wins and they are going to play forever, or whether they win and they somehow are able to outwit the game master and go home. Right.
Well, because Ash says something about how the first time, the reason she imposed the Gaius or whatever it's called is because the Nemesis game master, whatever, wanted them to return to the real world and like spread the gospel, basically, of the world of Die. And they're like, no, we're not going to do that. Gorilla Grodd, no, definitely not agreeing to that.
Issues and I look like we agree on something again. He says Quantum Leap should have gone for 9 seasons instead of 5. And I say fact. I love that show. In fact, I was in like junior high or high school when it ended, and my best friend and I tried to figure out a way to like write to the production company to convince them to, somehow as fans, we were going to convince them to bring the show back.
Well, but then you could just watch the few, like 4 or 5 seasons of Sliders, and it's the same thing, right?
Oh, shame.
Jokes on jokes on jokes. Scott Bakula is a legend. Anyway, back to the book. Or do we just want to turn this into a Quantum Leap chat?
I can't like my channel, which has been TV talk.
You're right, comic. Needmo comic. I cannot shave the bears. That sounds incredibly dangerous.
Yeah. I don't know how bears are the source of your power, but that sounds like this girl. Where's the bear? She has the god bear. That's the source of her power.
Yeah.
Right?
She's super cool. I love that idea of like owing favors to gods in order to get favors from them. Like I said, the way they designed all of these characters is so darn balanced, and like actually an RPG game where it's like, oh, I if I get gold, I can use my powers until the next day, where I'm like a junkie and I need more gold. And obviously in issue 3, that's why they get into troubles, because that character, whose name I cannot remember at the moment, sees gold and goes like running out to this field and gets spotted by these sentries. Kind of puts them in a pickle.
Yeah, and I think that all their powers are very unique and interesting, and you can see how much time was spent like thinking it out. I like the character with the sword of sadness, basically, that can't wield the power without feeling grief in some way, and the ways in which they draw upon that whether it's in the second issue where she has to use her voice and basically force him to feel sadness, or in the third issue where she's like, I don't need to use my voice. Look where we're stuck. You're going to be sad here no matter what. Like you draw on that for you.
Get used to it. And I
Look
love the idea of the Fool, where it's like he's basically invincible, but he puts the group at risk by his foolishness.
Yeah. That's me, right? I'm the fool, right?
Yes. You put my show at risk every week, John.
You're the shirtless white whale fighter. That's what I Got Issues calls you.
Yes. It evolved from shirtless bear fighter to shirtless whale fighter to shirtless white whale fighter. Alec has no shirt, and neither will the bear when he gets done shaving it.
Now, Nat, have you read anything else or enjoyed any of the other artwork that Stephanie Hans has done? Have you been following her at all up to now?
No, actually, I don't think so. Somebody had mentioned series she had done a while back, but I don't remember what it was called.
I think this is obviously her first ongoing. Like she might have done some interiors, but yeah.
We keep talking over each other. You go ahead and go out.
No, I said my piece.
But she is a cover artist and has done some really great ones. I have a Miss Marvel cover of hers that is really spectacular. And for me, there's like to see
blue variant, that's incredible.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
I think
Alec talks a lot about cover art versus interior art, and artists who might be really great at doing a beautiful cover for a drawing, for a book, and yet not be able to connect a story panel to panel on the inside. And for me, she feels like an artist that can do both, and that's super rare.
I think her art is perfect for this fantasy type world. It is.
I'm a big fan. And the cover for issue 1 of Die was my #1 cover last year. If anyone saw that video.
Beautiful. I want to get the variants. Even the variants are just like really nice. The blue and the black one.
Well, and I do think this new cover that you used for your newest thumbnail is spectacular, but there's something about this, like the bear one, that I just freak over. It looks like part constellation, like Ursa Major or something, and just too cool.
I think that's not Stephanie Hans, though.
No, yeah.
She didn't do this one?
I don't think so.
Ruined my day.
It's a nice cover, though. It's a beautiful cover.
It is a very nice cover. David Mack is doing, I believe, a variant for an upcoming issue.
Oh, yes.
Am I correct in that? Was that who it was?
Yeah, it was David Mack.
I think it's maybe issue 4,
I have no idea.
4 or 5.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I saw it online and it looked nice. I'm gonna buy both covers that time.
Yeah, I've been buying like every cover.
There's also a Virgin variant limited to some ridiculous low number of that. It's like $40 on eBay. And
of what?
Of issue 1.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, I mean, it is a book that I don't often go and try to get the second covers and the second prints or the A's and B's together. I don't often buy multiple copies of a book, and this is one of the first times I saw it. And Alec used this amazing picture, and he made this really great thumbnail that he didn't use for this video, but that I thought I had to go buy this book.
I am a big fan of subsequent printings, especially when they have all variant covers. I really like that series, The Fix, and I have like half a short box, even though there's only like 9 issues, because there's like 4 or 5 printings of some of the issues.
Yeah.
Gorilla Grodd says, I think Alec does IT or he's a lumberjack. Close on one of them.
So then now, obviously, we don't need to talk like we usually do, where it's, will you pick up the next issue?
No, I'm done at this point.
I think the question might become, where do you think the comic goes from here?
I think that it's going to kind of what I would like to see is, now that we've started building the world and gotten an idea of like the characters and their powers and what's happening, to kind of condense it down to their adventures and just have it be much more intentionally paced and kind of going through these various sides of the die that they're trying to get through. And
I think there's going to be like some sort of dilemma and issue within the group, and then they're going to separate.
Yeah, Ash even makes that reference, something, never separate the group at the beginning of issue 3. So maybe that's some foreshadowing.
I could definitely see that happening. Do you imagine this is a story where we will lose at least one of these people during the run? Because I can for sure believe that that will happen. Like I am willing to guarantee that at least one of these characters doesn't make it. If the whole group has a happy ending where they get back out again, I can't imagine that every one of them will survive it.
I would be surprised if they did it early, only because of the way they balanced the players.
Yeah, maybe later, but as not far as early in.
Yeah, what I mean by that is like the team and their roles on the team. Like if you killed off anyone too early on, it's like, oh, now we don't have this archetype to fight with, and might just be, which might be interesting though, because they're like, no, we don't have a healer, or we don't have a tank, or now what do we do in this situation because so and so died.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that that would make a chink in the armor for the remaining group, right? But I can also see it as, I almost feel like they were scarred pretty severely the first time they were in here. I think it clearly has to escalate in some way, not necessarily right away. I don't imagine it happening in issue 4 or 5 or something, but that there has to be an increase to the stakes for me.
Sure.
I found it fascinating though how fast they just kind of went back in their roles. Like they were just kind of like, okay, like it had been so long, but they just went back at it so fast.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that kind of, to me, like showed how much they carry this with them on a daily basis, and how like it's constantly on their mind, that when faced with it again, it was just like there was no question about knowing what to do or how to do it. And frankly, they were kind of didn't have a choice in issue 2, but yeah, I think it's definitely speaks to their PTSD, for lack of a better term, of the situation, that they are still so connected to it, even though it's been so long.
I remember that it was like 2 years later that they got back out of the game the first time. But I do remember also, like you were saying, Alec, that time was different there. Do we remember how long? I get that
impression, at least. I got that impression. Maybe I'm just.
I don't think so. I think it's the same.
It's the same. They did. It wasn't like it was more than 2 years. It was at least 2 years.
I think they spent like the 2 years there. I don't know. I might have to read.
Because then he does comment that it's been, however, what was it, 20 something years for the other guy, Solomon.
Sorry, I was just reading the chat.
I'm just trying to understand the time difference, and in that second issue, right at the beginning, when they meet the game master again, Solomon or Saul, Ash says something along the lines of, "I can't imagine." I think you even showed that picture. I can't imagine what 16 years here would have taught me, or 26. What I can't remember the amount of years.
But yeah, they're full grown adults now in the real world.
Yeah, with kids and jobs and lives and careers and all these things.
And it's so funny because their lives are just like so, kind of just dull and messed up. Some of them are divorced and stuff, but they would actually rather be there in that real world than out here. So that just shows like how bad that fantasy world is to them.
Right.
They would rather be out there dealing with everyday life. Yeah.
Custody battles and stuff.
Yeah.
Not part of your scene says Gillen will kill someone before the second story arc ends.
You heard it here first.
Drop.
Screenshot that. So yeah, I mean I'm excited to keep reading it for sure. I think it's going to read very interestingly in a collected form. I would say even longer than like a single trade, like maybe a deluxe edition. Be really interesting to reread it once 12 issues are out or something, but maybe not. Maybe it's going to turn into a real stinker. I doubt it.
Maybe.
The next Captain Marvel dumpster fire comic.
Oh, it can't be. There's no way. It's your boy.
Comic Head. Yeah, we were asking the same question, Comic Head. I don't know that they ever fully defined if time traveled differently or passed differently in the real world versus in the game. But certainly the amount of time spent at the minimum was 2 years for them and a whole lot more for Saul.
It's your boys. CNC says someone has to replace the Grandmaster. So that is what it seems like the rules are. Man, people giving me thumbs down. Hate is gonna hate. Someone has to replace Grandmaster, so that's what it seems like from the first time. But if they destroy their, I don't know if they like destroy the world or something. I don't know how that works. So it's gonna be an interesting kind of way to say, like, does someone volunteer to stay behind to let the rest of them go home?
Obviously, like Ash would be the character that they've set up as the sacrificial lamb, that one that, because they're our main hero character, would be the most obvious choice. But then I would like to think that a writer like that with enough talent would want to go a different way.
Yeah, gonna be really interesting.
I wonder if like Soul knows that he became the Grandmaster, or if he just kind of took that role.
I think he seems well aware of it. Because he was saying like the Grandmaster was really hard to kill. It took him a long time, but now that he's done,
yeah, but he says
it made him free to do
whatever. We
he
can play. Fantasy is ours now and forever.
I'm not actually worried about thumbs down. I was just making a joke, guys. People in the chat are talking about it. So someone said, is there a second topic? Oh, NYC said, is there a second topic this week? We decided to do a very brief one because we knew we were talking about 2 issues of a comic, so we figured the chat of that would go a little long. So, it was, what is the best non-comic book YouTube video you saw this week? Right?
That was definitely one we were talking about for sure.
You gave it a heart on Instagram, so I figured you agreed to it.
And Alec, do you watch a lot of non-comic videos on YouTube? Because I know that most of us don't. Obviously, we are all super into our community here.
Yeah, it takes up a lot of my YouTube time. However, I did watch one today.
And?
Oh, I was going to let you guys go first.
I don't know. You're springing this on Natalie. I don't know that has any idea.
Oh, wait, what? I thought y'all were just talking about.
Is there a non-comic book video that you've seen on YouTube and
I don't watch YouTube.
That you've enjoyed?
No, I don't watch YouTube. I barely have time to watch all of y'all's video. Like,
yeah, tell me about it.
When I created my YouTube account, that was literally the first time I had ever used YouTube. Like,
really?
Except for, I mean, sometimes I would look up, recipes and stuff, but like, I never.
Everyone's throwing up them horns in the chat. So,
oh geez, I was gonna say like Comic Smurf has been doing some really fun videos on like DIY stuff. He made a cool little like lighting system using a short box.
Oh, I
made some coasters. Cool. So he's done some really cool DIY stuff. I will shout out that there are early videos on my channel for not white whale Alec watching, but actual baleen whale watching videos. And there are some where the whales swim like right under our whale watching boat. It was incredible. And I've always enjoyed those kind of nature videos a lot.
Not part of your scene said, dude, there's still so much stuff to say about these books. Yeah, for sure, but it's midnight here, and I gotta get my
beauty rest.
Beauty rest?
I beat you to it. So what was the video?
Oh, it was the trailer for OA Season 2.
You really rushed that.
Sorry. It was the trailer for the OA Season 2 coming in March.
Now, I didn't even finish OA Season 1 on Netflix. I heard it was pretty good, and I started it, but then, life intervened.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. People are hot or cold on the end, and I thought it was great. I really liked it. Someone else said something that I wanted to reference. Oh yeah, everyone is agreeing with you guys that they only watch comic channels on YouTube. So farts on me for coming up with a terrible question this week.
Well, I would also argue that, like, for my own channel, I've been enjoying moving somewhat beyond comics exclusively and talking about the odd TV show or the odd movie. It's been a lot of fun. In fact, when we did a chat discussion the other day, and one of my things where we were asking what's your favorite things to put on a hamburger, that got more interaction from the chat than just about anything. Everybody was ready to talk food. Maybe it was
hamburger.
What's that?
Hamburger.
Yeah. The hamburger.
Hamburger.
So, I think getting a little bit beyond just being comic book channels is kind of cool. And you get to see a little bit of people's personalities, whether that's, I love Comic Head 84 when he finished some of his videos and he plays the piano. He's amazing.
Yeah. There's before I dove headfirst into the comic YouTube community, I watched almost exclusively not music videos as in pre-shot music videos, but videos of music or music reviews or stuff like that. So people doing covers and
then there's also guitars and comics. He does music and comics in his videos too, and it's awesome. I think it's a lot of fun.
Cool.
You can go beyond. Everybody's going to want to show your pull list or your comic hunts or your unboxings, and that stuff's awesome. And I don't think anybody should stop. But at the same time, whatever you do beyond that, it's that little bit that makes your channel you, and it highlights that personality. And so I always dig when videos go a little bit beyond that. Whether it's like JB when he does the videos where his girls put the pins in the map to show where the boxes he's just gotten came from. That's kind of fun little family stuff that I dig.
Yeah. The only thing I've got going for me besides my comics is my beard. So that's here anyway. So
I will say the things I like about Alex's channel, because he's not going to do it for himself, is the community stuff he does. Whether it's taking something like I Got Issues and he really loving Mr. Miracle and making this whole discussion way beyond what the comic was simply offering, or his like freeform chats where people jump in and join him and the topic goes wherever it's going to go and it's not always comic based. That's the jam.
Thanks, John. Those are some kind and overly generous words.
You're welcome, you dillweed.
There it is. So I've got a bunch of stuff to plug. So if you or Nat or John, if either of you would like to plug anything you got going on this week before I talk for 10 minutes.
Nat, any videos you got that you're dropping? Anything you're planning? Any boxes coming that you want to unbox?
Yeah, actually I got a Green Lantern eBay haul on eBay of like a huge just run, and I just wanted to do a video on that.
Nice.
It's like a huge short box of it.
Wow.
I'll do that sometime.
Not part of your
thing. I got it all for like $30. So.
Wow. Love deals.
They're all like near mint.
Love good deals like that. Not part of your scene said, seeing Alex says thank you was always fun. Yeah, I'm uncomfortable with gratitude and platitude.
I was just on the Comic Course channel like an hour ago. So if you missed that, you should definitely go check out the Comic Core because they launched a new show that's going to happen every other Wednesday. And I thought it went really well, although I don't know what happened the last 10 minutes because I went to something that matters more to me, which is Mr. Alec there.
You're only saying that because I'm right here.
It's true. I am. Yeah.
Comic Head thought this thing behind me was a white sofa chair. It is not. It's a thing called a moon pod, which is incredible, but it takes up half of my room.
It's a moon pod.
Moon pod, yes.
Then this coming Friday night, I am filling in on the regular Comic Core because Bueller is gone. And I get to take Bueller's spot, which means I got to find a vest. So I'll be on the Comic Core on Friday night, which means I might be going up against Alec on Friday night because I don't know if you go on at 7 Pacific.
It's going to be 6:30 Pacific, so 9:30 my time.
All right, so a little bit of overlap there. So I will definitely be there for the first half of Alec's show on Friday night, and then I'll disappear as always and jump over. And then I got this thing on Sunday that Alec is going to talk about that I'm very excited and looking forward to. And then, of course, Saturday Morning Comics with my girls is sadly canceled this week. The girls and I are supposed to be participating in a parade here Saturday morning early. So it might be something that we have to do in the middle of the day, Saturday afternoon comics or something. I don't know. So we'll figure out if we can make that up. But I'm sorry if you jumped to my channel hoping to spot that. I will try to let that be known. And then maybe tomorrow an unboxing because I got the other half of my Max Pro Supplies order. And I think they felt bad they forgot something. And they sent me like a huge box when all they needed to send me was some dividers, which would have been like one mailer or whatever. Gemini mailer. So,
I mean, it could just be a lot of packing material.
Well, I'll show you what the box looks like. It's heavy.
Oh, wow. That looks like a box I got from TJ.
I don't think this just has dividers in it.
No, definitely probably has some boxes or something in it.
So, yeah. Expect that tomorrow, probably.
Cool. So, as John kind of alluded to a number of things, tomorrow night I will not be on YouTube, so that's my night off. Friday night I'm on with I Got Issues for part 2 of our Comics as Therapy Mr. Miracle review, which if you haven't watched the first part, I am very proud of how it turned out. Why are you flipping me off?
I'm saying if you haven't watched it, screw you people.
Oh, I thought you were mad at me for saying something nice about myself for once. I will never do it again.
Back to normal.
It was only good because of I Got Issues. I'm a garbage person on it. No, but it was a very, very interesting, fun, emotional discussion, and I hope you join us at 9:30 Eastern to see part 2. And then on Sunday, I've got 2 things going on. I've got in the morning, I'm going to be doing a live stream, I believe at 9 or 10 my time, with Jesper Nikolaj Christensen, who
I love that guy.
Yeah, he doesn't have he doesn't have nearly enough subscribers because he is in Europe and he doesn't make it to a lot of live chats. So I feel like not a lot of people know about him yet, but hopefully they will after this a little bit. We did talk offline for a while last week, and he is a delight. So I can't wait. It's going to be called No Keys Required, and we're going to be talking about books that aren't key and no one cares about, but we still really like them because of the art or the story or both. Yeah, it's going to be
Then
at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we are doing live auction round 2 with myself, John, Comic Books NYC, and DS Comics. I did not promise impressions. I said goofing off will be had by all. I'll probably still do some impressions, but and then next week there will be a hiatus for book club because I'll be out of town.
Oh, we're trying to rush over the bad news. You're going to get a lot more thumbs down after that moment.
Yeah, I've already got a third one, so it's cool.
Yeah, there is no book club next week.
Unless John wants to just come on and have half a conversation with a lot of awkward silences.
I'm perfectly capable of that. But at the same time, like the book club is Alec and I. It's not for me. I would not want to do the book club without Alec. I might just come and do something on my channel, but it will not be book club related. It won't be any hot new book kind of stuff. So keep an eye out or ear out for that.
Yeah, DS Comics says he'll be showing his mug on the auction. So true firsts. She says E2 Brute. Yeah,
Yes, Vinny, I will definitely preview all the auction items that I will be having up on Sunday. I will put them up Sunday morning. I will just sort of flood my Instagram either Saturday night or Sunday morning with whatever I'm going to sell, just so that you can, zoom in and take a look at any books if you're looking to buy anything.
Yeah, I got 4 thumbs down now. You weren't kidding. Jeez, they're flying in like
that. Fourth one was me.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, I will come back rested and relaxed and ready for more self-deprecation.
Yeah, more than likely on my channel, it'll probably just be Jeffrey Comic-Con and I talking about Hulk. We'll just Immortal Hulk. We'll just basically just talk about Immortal Hulk.
It'll be very popular. A lot of people I've heard like that book.
It's fun. Yeah. It's a good one.
He said, tune in next Wednesday for my new live show, What's He Doing? Where I have the camera pointed at that table and you have no idea what I'm doing. So don't tune in next week, but come back 2 weeks from now where we will read some book that we have not picked yet, but I will announce it on Instagram. And come back Friday and Sunday twice, please. And check out everything Nat and John are doing. Mostly Nat.
That's good advice.
Yeah. All right. Unless anyone has anything else.
I'm good. Nat, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you very much. John, you are here as well. Thank you to the chat, as always. And even those 4 people that gave me thumbs down still count towards the watch hours. So thanks.
They're still watching.
I'm just kidding. Okay, bye.